From the outside, the Harris family lake house looked like something off a greeting card. Cedar walls, a wide deck wrapping all the way around, and a clear view of the Vermont shoreline. Every summer, that place pulled our relatives in like a magnet. Inside was a different story. The house was loud and crowded. Uncles shouting about fishing. Cousins running full speed through the halls. My mother, Linda, planted in the kitchen, wineglass in her hand, running the room like a judge holding court. I learned years ago that the safest spot for me during these gatherings was anywhere quiet. Somewhere my brother Ryan would not notice me. Ryan loved this kind of chaos. He fed off it. Every story he told got bigger each time. Every laugh made him stand taller. From the couch, I watched him gather a crowd near the fireplace, acting out some stupid prank from his fraternity days like it was a stage show. Then he saw me. "Well, look who finally crawled out of hiding," he said. He was smiling, but I heard the sharp edge underneath. I knew that tone. "Careful, everyone. Emily is on the move. Better hide the silverware." A few people laughed. I kept my eyes down and headed for the stairs. I had learned that lesson the hard way. Remember Christmas? When she smashed Grandma's china cabinet, he kept going louder now so the whole room could hear. "That little accident cost Dad about $3,000, right?" "It was an accident," I said quietly. I did not turn around. "That is your thing," he said. "Everything is always an accident with you." I reached the bottom step and hoped he would stay where he was. He did not. I heard him behind me. When I reached the landing, he was close enough that I could feel him there. Running away again? His voice dropped low right near my ear. "I am just tired," I said. "You are always tired." He stepped in front of me and spread his arms across the railing, blocking the stairs. "Dragons guarding the castle." We used to say that when we were kids. Back then it was a game. There was nothing playful in his eyes now. I tried to slip past him. His hands slammed into my shoulders. Hard. The shove knocked the air out of me. My feet left the floor. The stairs disappeared in a blur. Would hit my back again and again. Something twisted wrong in the middle of the fall. I heard a crack before I felt the pain. I landed flat on my back, staring up at the ceiling. My body would not respond. I tried to move my legs. Nothing happened. Above me, footsteps rushed in. My mother's voice cut through the noise. "Emily, get up. You are fine." Then Ryan, calm and cold. "Relax. It was just a joke." The carpet scraped my neck as I lay there, trying to understand the pain spreading from the base of my spine like fire. It felt deep. Heavy. Wrong. The sounds of dinner carried on from the next room. Laughter. Forks hitting plates. The same cheerful mess as before. My fall did not stop the evening. It only moved it a few steps away from me. Ryan leaned against the doorway with his arms crossed, watching me like I was part of the show. "It was just a joke," he said again. Loud enough for anyone listening. "She is playing it up." Linda walked in, heels tapping on the floor, wineglass still in her hand. She barely looked at me, like I was something spilled and forgotten. "Emily, honestly," she said, "you are ruining the night." "People did not come out to the lake to see someone lying on the floor," Linda said. "They came here to relax." "I cannot move my legs," I said. My voice sounded weak even to me. My stepfather Tom stood behind her. I caught the smell of cigars on his clothes. "You have always been too sensitive," he said, like that explained everything. Across the room, Aunt Carol sat stiff on the edge of a sofa. Her eyes moved between me and the others. She did not say a word, but her face was tight, uneasy. Then Maddie, Carol's 8-year-old granddaughter, slipped away from the group of kids and walked over to me. She knelt down close. "Are you hurt?" she whispered. "Yes," I whispered back. She looked around the room confused. "Then why is nobody helping you?" I did not have an answer. "I need a doctor," I said louder, forcing my voice to carry. "Something is wrong." Tom shook his head. "We are not paying emergency room bills for drama. You will be fine in an hour." Carol shifted like she might stand up, but Linda shot her a look that stopped her cold. Maddie squeezed my hand before her mother called her back. I stared at the ceiling. My eyes burned. The numb feeling in my legs was spreading, like cold water slowly rising. I tried again to push myself up. A bolt of pain tore through my back and stole the air from my lungs. Somewhere past the ringing in my ears, I heard Sarah's voice from the dining room. Sharp. Clear. "Enough." I was still on the floor when she said it. I could see the dining table loaded with food, plates, glasses, warm light reflecting off silverware. I started shaking even though the room felt hot. Every time I moved, even a little, pain ripped straight down my spine. Sarah, my cousin's wife, met my eyes. She had been chewing a piece of chicken. She stopped. She set her fork down and stood up. "Emily, you are shaking," she said quietly. "I cannot feel my legs," I whispered. Tom cut in from across the room. "She is fine. Do not start this." Sarah did not look away from me. "I am calling 911. "You are not," Tom snapped. His voice was sharp enough to silence the table. "Nobody is calling. This is not an emergency." Sarah pulled her phone from her pocket. "Sit down, Tom, or stand there and watch me do it." Her voice was calm, almost bored, but her hand was tight around the phone. The call took less than a minute. By the time she hung up, Linda had already started complaining about how this would ruin the weekend. When the paramedics arrived, everything changed. Their calm cut through the noise. I felt gloved hands checking my pulse, my breathing. They asked questions I could barely answer. Tom and Linda hovered nearby, arguing. "She is overreacting," Linda kept saying. One of the paramedics gently lifted the back of my sweater. His face tightened just a little. "These marks are not new," he said quietly to his partner. The woman nodded, her eyes tracing the bruises along my ribs. "Possible spinal injury," she said. Then lower, and signs of repeated trauma. The man straightened. "We need to notify the police." The ambulance ride blurred together. Sirens overhead. Radio chatter. The hard brace around my neck. At the hospital, they rolled me straight into a bright room. A woman in scrubs introduced herself. "Dr. Henderson," she said. Her voice was calm. Her eyes missed nothing. "We are doing a full-body magnetic resonance imaging scan," she said. "I want to see everything." They moved me onto a narrow table. The machine started almost right away. Loud. Metallic. Each hit echoing through me. I closed my eyes, but Ryan's smile kept pushing its way back in. When it was done, Dr. Henderson returned and pulled a chair close to my bed. "This here," she said, pointing to the screen, "is your third lumbar vertebra. You have a compression fracture from today." Then her finger moved. "These injuries are older. This one is a few months old. This one about 6 months. And this one at least a year." I stared at the images. Proof I never had before. "Ryan," I said quietly. "From his games." Her face stayed calm, but something hardened behind her eyes. "Emily," she said, "this is not roughhousing. This is repeated injury." She stepped into the doorway and spoke softly into her phone. I heard the words Child Protective Services and police. When she came back, she sat beside me again. "I have contacted the authorities," she said. "Someone will come talk to you. You were hurt, and that matters." My throat tightened. No one had ever said that to me before. I heard the words before I fully believed them. "We believe you." There was a knock at the door. A woman stepped in holding a notepad. She introduced herself as Karen Miller from Child Protective Services. She pulled a chair up next to my bed. Her movements were slow and careful. Her voice was steady. "Emily, I know Dr. Henderson has already spoken with you," she said, "but I need to hear everything from you directly. Any injuries? Any moments you remember?" First, nothing came out. Years of being told I was clumsy had trained my brain to explain everything away. But Karen did not rush me. She waited. Quiet. Patient. Until the silence finally broke. I told her about the bicycle chain Ryan loosened when I was 13. The fall in the school cafeteria that he caused. The so-called rough play that left me with cracked ribs and bruises I could not explain. Karen wrote everything down. Her face did not change, but I noticed her pen press harder against the paper as I kept talking. There was another knock. Aunt Carol stepped inside. She glanced into the hallway before closing the door behind her. In her hands was a manila envelope. She set it gently on the rolling tray. "I should have done this a long time ago," she said quietly. Inside were photographs. Family holidays. Birthdays. Cookouts. I had no idea she kept them. Karen spread them out. A photograph from a 4th of July barbecue showed a dark bruise along my upper arm. Another from Christmas showed me smiling too tightly, makeup barely hiding a mark on my jaw. One from a summer birthday party showed me wearing long sleeves in extreme heat. My phone buzzed on the table. A message from Sarah. Check your email now. Karen opened the attachment on her tablet. The video showed the staircase at the lake house. It looked accidental, like someone had been filming something else. In the background, Ryan stepped in front of me. His mouth moved. Then he shoved me. The camera shook, but the fall was clear. Karen watched the entire clip without blinking. This changes everything, she said. Not long after, a police officer came in to take my statement. When he left, I heard him speaking to Dr. Henderson in the hallway. He said they were upgrading the charge to aggravated assault. Somewhere down the hall, my mother's voice rose. Sharp. Panicked. By morning, the hospital television was playing the local news. Linda sat on a couch beside Tom. Her posture was perfect. A tissue pressed to her face. She spoke with a careful tremble. Our daughter has struggled for years, she said. We tried therapy, special attention, but she has always been jealous of success. Tom nodded beside her. These accusations come from resentment, he said. She has always been accident-prone. This fall is just another mishap. I turned the television off before it ended. The damage was already done. By midday, my phone was lighting up with alerts. Relatives I barely knew were posting about loyalty and family on social media. What my parents did not plan for was evidence. That afternoon, Rebecca Collins, the prosecutor assigned to my case, came to see me. She carried a thin folder and spoke plainly. I expected this move, she said, setting the folder on my tray. Inside were copies of my medical records, images from my scans, a still frame from the video showing Ryan's hands on my shoulders, his face cold. I am releasing this to the press, she said. Not everything. Just enough to show proof. She paused. Multiple fractures in different stages of healing do not come from clumsiness. That evening, the news changed tone. The image stayed on screen while the reporter spoke about injury patterns and contradictions in my family's statements. By nightfall, Ryan's fraternity announced his removal. His college suspended him pending the criminal case. Online reactions shifted. Not all supportive, but enough to crack the story my parents were pushing. The next morning, Rebecca returned with Karen from Child Protective Services. I had a stack of spiral notebooks on my lap. Bent covers. Worn edges. Years of hiding under floorboards and drawers. I handed them over. They are dated, I said. Every time something happened, I wrote it down. What he did. What my parents said after. Karen flipped through one slowly. This is detailed, she said. We can use this. Later that day, Rebecca came back again. We added neglect charges against your parents, she said. And we found 2 of Ryan's former girlfriends. Both described the same behavior. Blocking exits. Shoving. Grabbing too hard. They agreed to testify. Hearing it made something click. Pieces of my life finally fit together. In the rehabilitation wing, my physical therapist Daniel waited beside the parallel bars. Let us see what you can do, he said. The first time I put weight on my legs, pain blurred my vision. Daniel stayed close. One step at a time, he said. Each step felt like pushing against years of being told I was weak. Too sensitive. Overreacting. I clenched my teeth and kept going. When the session ended, sweat soaked my back, but I was standing. It was not much, but it was mine. Back in my room, Rebecca was waiting. The court date is set, she said. The courtroom felt smaller than I imagined. Quiet murmurs filled the air as I took the stand. Rebecca gave me a small nod. Emily, she asked, can you describe your relationship with your brother? I spoke carefully. Slowly. I told them about the years of shoves disguised as accidents. The broken bones. The times I tried to speak and was shut down. I described the fall at the lake house in detail. My hands stayed clenched to keep them from shaking. When Rebecca finished, Ryan's lawyer stood. Is it true you have been treated for anxiety and depression? Yes, I said. Because abuse does that. He tried to dismiss my journals. Suggested my memory was flawed. Perhaps these events did not happen as you believe, he said. The scans do not lie, I said. Neither does the video. Rebecca stood again. The prosecution calls its first witness. Ashley, one of Ryan's former girlfriends, walked to the stand. She kept her eyes on the jury when she spoke. He shoved me down a staircase. A wave of gasps moved through the courtroom. More witnesses followed. A former teammate talked about Ryan's temper. A neighbor described shouting matches next door that ended with doors slamming and someone crying. Each story stacked on the last. Then Ryan took the stand. It was just rough play, he said, shrugging. Brothers and sisters fight. I never meant to hurt her. Rebecca stood and rested her hands on the podium. So you admit you put your hands on her? Ryan shifted in his chair. I lost my temper. Rebecca did not raise her voice. You lost your temper, and your sister ended up with a fractured spine. That is not roughhousing. That is violence. Ryan clenched his jaw. He did not answer. When I stepped down from the stand, I caught the eye of one juror. He gave a small nod, barely noticeable, but it was enough. The jury was gone for less than 3 hours. When they returned, the room went silent. I folded my hands in my lap and stared at the foreperson. Guilty on all counts. Aggravated assault. Pattern of abuse. Violation of the restraining order. Each word hit the room hard. Ryan stared straight ahead. His face was tight. Rebecca did not react, but I saw her shoulders relax just a little. The judge moved quickly. 2 years in prison. 5 years of probation. Mandatory registration as a violent offender. Then it was my parents' turn. Neglect and endangerment. Probation. Parenting classes. Court-ordered therapy. Linda's face stayed perfectly composed until the gavel struck. Outside the courtroom, reporters crowded the hallway. Family voices overlapped. I was almost at the exit when Linda stepped in front of me. I hope you are happy, she said. Her voice shook with anger. I am free, I said. That is enough. She blinked once, turned away, and disappeared into the crowd. Rebecca stepped beside me. We will talk next week about restitution, she said. I nodded, but my mind was already somewhere else. I walked toward the doors. Cold winter air rushed in as someone held them open. At the bottom of the steps, Aunt Carol was waiting. I moved into her house 2 weeks later. She had cleared a room for me. Painted the walls a soft gray. Clean sheets. A lock that worked. It was more than space. It was safety. Therapy started right away. This time with someone who listened. We went through the memories slowly, breaking the habit of blaming myself. By spring I wrote an essay. I called it The Fall That Saved My Life. Rebecca helped place it with a national outlet. Within days, messages poured in. People who grew up with a favored sibling. Parents who realized too late what they had missed. That essay became something bigger. I started speaking at schools, shelters, and community centers. Every time I stood in front of a crowd, I remembered lying on that floor, unheard. And I spoke louder. A year later, I moved into my college dorm. On my first night, I stopped at the bottom of the main staircase. My chest tightened, but not from fear. I climbed slowly, each step solid beneath me. At the top, my phone buzzed. A message from Maddie. My teacher read your article in class. She says you are a hero. I smiled and typed back. Not a hero, just someone who told the truth. Then I walked down the hallway toward my room. Laughter spilled from an open door. I let the sound pull me forward.